I drew this up in a couple minutes. This is a very crude, basic drawing. This is like an RV, car, camper, whatever. Be a motorhome. It could be almost anything. Now, there's been a handful of people that went down to Quartzsite. I mean, for me, it would be perfect. I wouldn't have any problem camping out there. But I hung out in the valley when it was 120, so 85, 90 degrees is no big deal. In fact, I haven't run my evaporative cooler in a couple of weeks. Now, this is a 12-volt DC evaporative cooler. It's got the evaporative pad on it, made for a cooler. It's got like a 12-volt DC blower wheel and blower motor and a pump in there. Now, you can buy these on Amazon. They're like between $20 and $45. I've searched them, but the way they're made, or the way I believe they're made, is to sit inside, and then you periodically pour water in there. What you can do, you can add, a standard evaporative cooler float, and then a tank on the roof. You can just set that on the roof, and then just hang this from one open window, and just put that on the roof. Maybe 5-10 gallon tank that's just gravity fed down to that float. I think most people can see what I've got in mind here. I added the snake. I just added that for a little bit of fun. And the birds, let's see where I put the birds. There's birds. Yeah, the birds are up here. But anyway, and it's flying critters. Got to have flying critters on your diagram. But anyway, I said you just modify a standard evaporative cooler, with a gravity-fed float. I've got one on the other side here I'm going to show you in a second. There's a bed and there's a rear axle and stuff on there. I said if somebody wants to buy all this and wants to do a collab video with me where I'm retrofitting it to do something like this, hey, let me know, and we can do a collab video. You have to come around here, maybe rent maybe go up, let's say you rent a space for a couple of weeks up there at White Tanks Park, whether it's down to Strellas. You say, James, come up here and, we'll set something up, and I'd love to do that. Then later we'll go do that waterfall hike. I thought about somebody cute, single, female. Now this is the same. That's a different snake. The first one has crawled off, and this is the second snake. That's his buddy. The birds, I put the birds over here. There's no flying critters in there. The flying critters are gone. Somebody used a bug spray on the flying critters. But anyway, now this, it's got a 12-volt DC pump. You get the same 12-volt blower motor with the same 12-volt pump, internal pump, but you've got a float switch like you'd have on a dishwasher. If you know how the dishwasher, they got a float switch in there. This has got a little float switch in there, hooked to this, 12-volt DC pump, so it pressure feeds this. It only turns it on and off, when it needs water. Now, again, this is pretty basic, pretty simple. I said you can just run this for maybe an hour in the mid-afternoon when it's, warmer. Just turn it on and off as you need it. I said that, for me it's nice, but for somebody more acclimatized to a cooler climate, I'll title this one. I'll think of a title between now and when when I post it. Okay, there's one chick that she's going to know I'm making this for her, but this is for 4 or 5 of the male and female RV content creators. Okay, love you. Bye bye.